A group of scientists has discovered a way to store solar energy in a liquid form that can be used to make electricity whenever needed. This liquid can be kept for up to 18 years. The technology has been in the works for a few years, and BGR was the first to report on it. In 2017, researchers at Sweden's Chalmers University of Technology showed off a system called Molecular Solar Thermal System, MOST, that made it possible to store solar energy. In this video, we unravel the mystery of a liquid that stores energy for years. Without sapping any more time, let's get started. One of the most optimistic alternatives to fossil fuels is solar power. We still have obstructions to overcome before we can fully embrace this sustainable energy, one of which is the long-term storage of solar energy. Storage is essential for us to access electricity even when the sun isn't shining. Luckily, thoughts of hope are raised by several study papers that present a new method for storing solar energy. A recent discovery might make it possible to directly store solar energy in a liquid for up to 18 years. How does it work? And is this a promising future for solar energy storage? Let's try to resolve this by making a decision. The best are solar panels. They transform solar energy into electrons that are used in households or distributed across the grid. However, because renewable energy sources are intermittent, energy storage is essential. A Tesla Powerwall must be used to store extra solar energy production to provide energy at night. After being transformed from photons into electrons, which are then transported into chemical batteries and out again, DC power is converted into AC electricity for use in homes and the grid. This process involves several transformations, each consuming a little more energy. That only applies to one house. It becomes far more challenging when you take that up to a utility scale. Many of the battery technologies that are currently in use are still quite pricey and significant, and there are also safety issues with lithium. There are more options besides using solar panels to capture solar energy and conventional lithium batteries to store it. There are intriguing ways to directly store the sun's photons as heat or in a chemical form, like that liquid mentioned earlier that can hold it for up to 18 years, among several tried and true techniques and recent R&D ventures. Let's start with some of the ways to see how there and where this might go before moving on to that one. One of the methods is concentrated solar power, CSP. Mirrors are used to reflect and focus sunlight onto a chosen area to generate heat, plenty of it. They can store thermal energy to supply power when the sun's intensity drops, but they may also be used to power a steam engine or turbine to generate electricity. However, it goes beyond just that. The heat may be utilized to produce cement, green hydrogen, water desalination, and even steel. It can also be used to improve oil recovery. CSP is categorized into three general kinds and is mainly used for grid-scale power generation. There have been other developments in solar energy storage besides CSP. This is much smaller than what CSP offers for utility-scale energy generation. Still, it shows the direction that research is going in storing solar energy in other parts of our lives. Swedish researchers at the Chalmers University of Technology are working on a fluid that may be able to store solar energy for up to 18 years. Norbernadine, a molecule made up of carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen, is present in the fluid. This could bring back memories of your high school science classes, but kindly put up with it for a tiny minute more. Molecules consist of two or more atoms, and thanks to the bonds that bind them, the atoms share electrons. Unique three-dimensional shapes are seen in several types of molecules. For instance, the tetrahedron-shaped gas methane. The molecule can alter its shape and structure when energy is added, and its atoms can form new bonds with one another that could store different quantities of energy. The researchers altered the molecule from Chalmers University to absorb more of the various wavelengths of sunlight. Both the blue and green light spectrum, as well as UV, can be used to generate energy. When exposed to sunlight, a molecule changes into an isomer with high energy, which is a new-looking molecule consisting of the same atoms but bound differently. The study team developed a catalyst that serves as a filter for the liquid and controls the storage and release of energy from the molecule by returning it to its initial form. The fluid's temperature increases by 63 degrees Celsius due to this form shift. it can now begin to collect more solar energy once it has returned to its former state. The Molecular Solar Thermal Energy Storage System, MOST, is the name of this revolutionary technology. The study's principal investigator, Kasper Moth-Poulsen, gave a thorough high-level explanation of the cycle. According to him, they have a liquid system that flows through a panel. The liquid is basically sandwiched between two glass plates, and the molecules are moving through, being exposed to light, and then changing. The molecules with the high-energy form are then held in that little tank, which they enter after. Later, they can pass over a catalyst that is housed in a tiny apparatus, which will cause the heat to be released and release the energy that has been stored. The molecules can now return to the panel and start capturing energy once more. Therefore, it is a closed cycle in which solar energy is used as the input, stored as chemical energy, released later as heat when needed, and the original molecule is recovered. This way, it functions as a cycle that can run hundreds of millions of times. They sent the molecules that contained the solar energy from Sweden to China, where scientists from Shanghai Jiaotong University released the energy and used a device they created to transform it into power. This sounds very promising in my opinion. However, it's kind of absurd that Swedish sunshine was transformed into electricity and transported to the opposite side of the globe. According to Chalmers University of Technology researcher Ji Hongwang, they have only used the generator to produce small amounts of power. This ultra-thin chip could be put into gadgets like smartwatches, smartphones, and headphones. Still, the recent findings demonstrate that the idea actually works and looks extremely promising. The most effective systems function between 29 and 51% efficiently at the wavelength they receive. However, the team has the entire solar spectrum, which has several wavelengths. The best system they currently have only managed to catch roughly 2.9 to 3.1% of the solar energy that enters the system. A maximum of 11.9 to 16.1% of the incoming energy is theorized. Since something must be paid for the storage in the molecules, it will not be as effective as a photovoltaic panel and won't produce as much energy. Sadly, optimizing the molecule has proven to be the most challenging. The heat recovery process is running largely smoothly. The group releases the heat they have stored. There are some losses in the storing process to expand to a larger portion of the solar spectrum while maintaining the high inner density and other factors. Currently, they are attempting to optimize 3 or 4 factors at once, and these variables are somewhat pointing in separate directions. No doubt, developing systems that are effective in all respects is challenging. They are still testing novel compounds and refining them as part of their continuing research. Kasper claims that the next stage is to scale the system up from a few watts to perhaps 1,000 watts. The molecule might not have the same efficiency as CSP or photovoltaics, but it might be layered into other things to improve them. Can you imagine putting a photovoltaic system on your house on top of this? You would turn photons into electricity for your home and store the energy as heat for later use. Kasper noted a few potential uses for their system, including heating a car's interior and heating your hot water without burning gas or using electricity. It is crucial to store solar energy for later use as we advance toward a more environmentally friendly future. There are other ways to capture solar energy and transform it into power that can be stored in batteries. While the use of molten salts to store heat in CSP power plants has been around for a while, newer strategies, such as directly storing solar energy in molecule bonds, are still in their infancy. Although it will take some time to scale it up and identify its optimum uses, the advantages it can provide, such as the ability to store solar energy for 18 years, are highly encouraging. There you have it, guys, the liquid that stores solar energy for years. Do you think scientists could overcome the challenges involved in producing this commercially? Let us know your observations and thoughts in the comment section below. If this video is insightful for you, then go on and like this video. Please kindly subscribe to our channel and click on the bell button for more of our updates.